tribute video. Rest in peace, both Ozzy Osborne and Hulk Hogan. Hope everyone's doing wonderful out there in the wonderful world of YouTube. This past week has been pretty hard on Mr. Rock, so hopefully we're live. So before we start, it looks like we are. So hopefully we're live. Okay. So I'm going to start off with Ozzy first, and then work my way over to Hulk Hogan. Ozzy I knew very well. I first met Ozzy when I was just a little kid, probably 92, 93, I like to say. I remember literally my mom took me to meet him for the first time ever, and I remember being a toddler and Ozzy picking me up and everything else, and I remember he gave me a stuffed monkey. I don't have that monkey anymore, but I remember him giving me a stuffed monkey, and you know, it was kind of cool in a way. Over time, I did get to hang out with Ozzy quite a bit. You know, last time I hanged out with him was about 10 years ago. Maybe 10 years ago. I don't know exact year. I know it was here in Winnipeg when he did the concert here for Black Sabbath. It was me, my mom, and Eldon all went to the concert, and yeah, the after show we literally went backstage. Eldon didn't think we were going to go backstage, in a way. My friend didn't know that I knew rock stars and everything else, and I said, "You want to go backstage or what?" He just said, "Really? We can just go backstage?" I said, "Yeah, let's just go." So I literally went backstage. I was dressed like Ozzy. I had a black hair wig on. I had glasses. I had his jacket. I pretty much had his chain as well, it felt like. And I literally took pictures, and they're on my computer. I don't know how my computer died years ago, so I can't access that anymore. But I know that they're on my computer. There's pictures of me and Ozzy literally standing beside each other. He gave me one hug before he went in his limo and to the airport. And that was the last time I ever seen him. The last time I talked to Ozzy was probably about 3-4 years ago, in a way, and he didn't look like he was in good shape. I remember literally back in 2019, I literally told my mom, I think Ozzy's gonna die soon, in a way. I think that he's gonna die in the next five years. The way how he looked, the way how he was literally talking, the way how, like, he had health problems even when I knew him as a little kid, you know. So before anyone says, well, Ozzy was always in the best shape of his life, I hate to tell you this, he wasn't. But one thing I can say about Ozzy that no one knew about, that he was a goddamn good prankster. That's something that maybe people don't know about Ozzy. He was a damn good prankster. And I'm going to tell you a story about Ozzy, about him pranking me one time. So, Sharon literally told me to go get a glass of juice, or whatever, orange juice. So I accidentally grabbed Ozzy's glass. He had this cartoon anime glass, in a way. It had like Hanna-Barbera Looney Tune characters on the freaking glass. And I remember literally grabbing this glass and pouring a glass of orange juice. Ozzy grabs the freaking glass out of my hand and chugs it. And then he pours himself more orange juice and just keeps chugging it until there's literally like a little sip left. And then he hands me the jug of juice, in a way. And then he literally says, "Sharon, Frank drank all the juice." And I remember literally sitting there like stunned. Like, I'm about to get in trouble because he drank the goddamn juice. And now, technically, this is a hilarious story because it does have a flip side to the story. So, technically, like, Sharon was giving me crap and everything else. And I said, if you think I drink that much juice, wouldn't you think I had to go to the bathroom and go pee? And as I was saying pee, sure enough, Ozzy had to go to the damn bathroom. He's like, "You little shit. You little..." And sure enough, all because he chugged that orange juice. And yeah, I remember. And there was also an incident with peanut butter. So I'm going to tell you the incident with peanut butter. So technically, Ozzy loved peanut butter. I don't know if you knew this, but Ozzy loved peanut butter. So I remember literally freaking getting a jar of peanut butter. It was crap peanut butter because he never had Canadian peanut butter before, and he told me this. So my dad and I literally freaking giving him a jar of crap peanut butter, and he literally said, "What kind of shit is this?" Anyway, where's Skippy, the guy that has your nuts and everything else? And my dad literally said, "Nuts? You mean these nuts?" And he pointed right at him, and Ozzy's like, "You sick freaking freak." But yeah, um, but I've known Ozzy quite some time. I probably have met him probably about 10, maybe 20 times in my life. Um, Between 92 to literally, like I said, like 10 years ago. But talking to him and understanding him is hard. Whoever has literally ever talked to Ozzy, you have to literally sit there and listen. He'll give you knowledge. He'll literally tell you stories about history that you have never heard of before. You know, like he used to tell me stories about Randy Rhoads and how awesome he was and everything else. I never even knew who Randy Rhoads was until Ozzy told me about him. But after literally hearing from Ozzy about him, I actually went and looked him up and everything else, and I got to literally experience how awesome his music was, you know. And yeah, but I know for a fact that both Ozzy, Lemmy, and Randy Rhoads are all sitting upstairs right now having a drink and cheering everyone on. But yeah, and also like Ozzy was also a great father, you know. That's one thing that people might not know too well. Ozzy was a great father to his kids. Jack, Kelly, I can't remember, Allison I think it was, or something like that. But he was a great father. It doesn't matter where he was or whatever. If he literally heard that his kids were sick, ill, he's flying home, dropping everything, and he is gone. You know? And I remember technically, and Kelly can confirm this, I know she can, that when she was a kid, Ozzy always used to come home and sing "Mama, I'm Coming Home" and to her almost every night in a way, because that was one of her favorite songs. I don't know if you knew that, but that was one of her favorite songs. And she would literally go to sleep during that song. And yeah, so, but it's just shocking to literally hear the news that Ozzy's passed in a way. Just literally, like, what, 3 weeks after his concert? He did a farewell concert. I know he was sick. He had Parkinson's disease. He had everything. Like, I remember talking to Kelly just a few years ago, and she was telling me straight up that he was sicker than a damn dog. And I remember going, and that's when I started shaking my head going, oh my goodness, time's almost up. You know, and then I hear the news, and I'm like, you know, at least Ozzy's at rest now. That's the one thing I can say. At least Ozzy's at rest, and he's not suffering anymore, because he was suffering for a long time. And I wish there was more years. I wish we could hang out and party, but I understand that sometimes the party's got to end. And that's my say about Ozzy. Now I heard the news today about Hulk Hogan. What can I say about Hulk Hogan that can't be said? I don't care if you love him. I don't care if you hate him. There's no doubt in my mind there wouldn't be a New World Order without a Hulk Hogan. There wouldn't be, the wrestling business wouldn't be the same without Hulk Hogan. I guarantee you that. You know? And you have to respect everything he's done. I'm like, yeah, I don't like what he's done in the past as well with controversial things. But there's no doubt in my mind, you know, love him, hate him, respect him. Hulk Hogan was the man. And July 7th, 1996 made me love Hulk Hogan. When he came out with the NWO. When he dropped that leg drop on Macho Man Randy Savage and became a heel, it was mind-blowing. No one ever seen this before. I don't care who you are, what you've done in life. When you seen Hulk Hogan turn heel, that was it. That was the start of the whole entire wrestling organization freaking literally turning the channel going like this. I gotta see what Hulk Hogan's doing next. Forget Friends, forget Seinfeld, forget The Simpsons even. When NWO came on, you were going to freaking put it on. It didn't matter, you know, because NWO and Hulk Hogan at that time in the 90s was bigger than life. I don't care how you think about it. Everyone wanted to be a member. Everyone. It didn't matter if you're Dennis Rodman, if you're Carl Malone. I don't care if you're Diamond Dallas Page. In a way, you want to be a member of Hulk Hogan and the NWO probably. The only reason why you didn't, in a way, is because you're going to be overshadowed by Hulk Hogan. You have to realize that. You know, Hulk Hogan was the man. And he was the man from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. Even in 2020, he was still making the goddamn appearances. It didn't matter if what he did, controversial, whatever. He still came back and tried to give the fans, the wrestling business, and everything else 110% of his life. You know, and to that, you know, I got credit where credit's due. You know, and it sickens me knowing that technically two, not one, but two members, the original OG members of the NWO is now officially dead. We only got Kevin Nash left. And, you know, it hurts. It hurts. I got to meet Scott Hall. I got to meet Kevin Nash. I got to meet Hulk Hogan. I met Hulk Hogan only one time. And I'll even share the story as well. I met him in California. It was at a charity auction event. I met him for like 30 seconds in a way. There was a picture of me and him taken. And that was it, in a way. I literally shook his hand. He gave me the too sweet. We took the picture. And that was it. That was the only time I ever met Hulk Hogan. But for that 30 seconds, felt like a lifetime of awesomeness. You can't literally deny anyone that ever have met Hulk Hogan. You know, when you literally stepped in the ring with Hulk Hogan, or met him, or shook his hand, or anything to do with Hulk Hogan, you knew you were in the presence of greatness. You know, like hell, he literally turned wrestling companies into multi-billion-dollar companies overnight. You know, and just think, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan and WrestleMania, there wouldn't be a WrestleMania. What do you got, Mr. T and who? we already seen and heard about it, you know. And yeah, some of my favorite matches from Hulk Hogan, I have to say it, WrestleMania 6, Hulk Hogan and Warrior. That was life-changing for me when I seen that match, in a way, for the first time ever. I didn't watch it live because I wasn't born. But I did watch it on VHS a few years after I was born, even though I was born the same year. But I did see it a few years later after I was born, and I remember literally watching that match and going, holy crap, this is amazing. For the first time ever, these two guys rocked that house that night. And yeah, I already covered WrestleMania 6 in my review. But also another, like, match that literally stands out to the test of time from Hulk Hogan was Starrcade 97 with Sting. Yes, the finish was crap, but everything that led up to that match, everything, the year and a half of Sting and Hulk playing mind games with each other, like, holy crap. If you weren't an NWO fan, hey Lazy Satan, hope all is well, man. But yeah, I'm paying respect to both Ozzy and Hulk, in a way. But yeah, if you weren't an NWO fan then, you were gonna be then. You know, if you weren't a fan in '96 when it first started, you were a fan during that time, like '96, '97. Didn't matter. That whole entire year was mind blowing at how creative WCW was with the NWO, and it was pure genius. Same here. I just literally talked about meeting Ozzy. I've known Ozzy since probably 92 or 93, Lazy Satan. I probably have met him about 10, 20 times. You know? And I already talked about the orange juice incident, in a way. The peanut butter, in a way, he literally said that technically like it wasn't Skippy, it wasn't Jif, in a way, because I literally give him a jar of crap peanut butter from Canada, in a way, and he literally said, "What the hell is this?" So yeah, because he literally said, "Well, I never had Canadian products before. I've always had the UK or United States products." So I literally get him a jar of peanut butter, and he literally laughed at me pretty much. You know, he literally told me that bears don't have nuts. Because anyone that knows, Kraft has a freaking picture of a bear on it. But yeah. Um, but like I was saying about Hulk, you know, his feud with Macho Man, legendary. His feud with like almost anyone, pretty much, was almost legendary. Like The Rock and Hogan. I hate to say this, but that might be the best WrestleMania match for not even being a good match. It wasn't really that great of a match, but if you literally take a look at the crowd and that freaking thing. Hogan pulled me over in a Temple Terrace when I almost wrecked my car when he was on his Harley one day, and I looked out and he was riding by me. I almost died, pulled me over to make sure I was okay. Okay, that's a pretty cool moment. I've only met him in California at a charity auction event, Lazy said. And yeah, I was there, and you know, I think I paid like $40 to meet literally to get a picture taken with him. And like I literally shook his hand. He gave me the NWO2 sweet sign, and it was 30 seconds, but it was 30 seconds that you'll never get it back. You know, and it was awesome to literally say that. You know, but that's the way how things were. Especially at those kind of events, you only get like maybe a 30 seconds to maybe a minute because there's a line. So, but at least, you know, shaking his hand, give me the two sweet sign. That's all you really need in life. Even just to get your picture taken with greatness. You know. But yeah, I'm shocked that both legends are gone. You know, the one that hurt the most, I hate to say this, is Ozzy, because, like I literally have said before, I've known Ozzy for like I met him like 10, 20 times. I considered him Uncle Ozzy at one time. I consider him like an uncle. I don't care who you are. He was like uncle to me. You know, like that crazy batshit uncle that you literally did not want to hang out with, but you still loved. That was Ozzy for me. Hulk Hogan didn't really meet. I did watch Hulk Hogan wrestle though, and this would have probably been in 98, 99 at WCW when it was in North Dakota, I think it was. It was either North or South Dakota. And I remember going and literally, like, my dad taking me because I literally begged him. I literally had to beg my dad to literally go and see WCW Nitro. No, it was Nitro and Thunder. That's right. They were taping both shows. And I remember like going. Well, not taping, but live for both shows. And I remember going and literally seeing Hulk Hogan wrestle. I think it was Sid Vicious or something like that. Hold on. Yeah, I've been around Ozzy a bunch, drunk off his ass. Uh, Hold on. In the 90s and saw him in Japan years ago. Too many stories to type. Yeah, I agree, man. Ozzy was that one guy. Like I said, he was like the crazy drunk uncle at half the time. But later, he actually did clean himself up, like, and everything else. Like, he was trying to get in better shape. And I think, technically, the thing that's going to kill him inside, and I know, I'm sorry, Kelly, that I'm going to bring this up, but I know that this is going to hurt you. I think the thing that's going to kill him deep down inside is that he didn't get to walk you down the aisle. I know you and Sid were about to get married and everything else, but knowing that he wasn't there to literally walk you down the aisle, I guarantee you that's going to kill him inside when he's up there. Because I know that was the one thing that he was looking forward to. And yeah, Because I know Kelly doesn't really like people talking about her personal life too much. That's why I'm bringing this up. And that's why I'm saying sorry, but it's the truth. You know, her and Sid have been literally dating for years. Yeah, hanging out with him a few times. When he cleaned up, he was larger than life. Yeah. And I still consider him larger than life. In a way. That's why I said, like, holy crap, that Ozzy's dead. And I had to make a video. I didn't know when I was going to do the video. And the honest truth, in a way, I knew after Hulk died, I had to do a video. I don't care who you are. I had to do a video. Knowing that technically 2 icons died in the same damn week, literally not even freaking 48 hours from each other? What the hell? You know? And like I said, these were like 2 big childhood freaking stars. Ozzy was like an uncle, like I say. If I didn't do a video on him, I would be ashamed of my freaking Free. Free, technically, my dad passed away last Friday. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. As he's saying, I'm sorry to hear that. I lost my dad literally 15 years ago, man. It doesn't get any easier either. I'm not gonna lie. Years just go by, and technically you just gotta take it one day at a time. Every year, it doesn't get easier. You just gotta literally forgive and forget, pretty much. You know, forgive your dad for all the bad decisions, and you know, forget the bad ones if you can. Is what I'm trying to get at. But always remember the good ones, though. Always remember the good times. But with my dad, there wasn't a lot of good times. So I'm just going to be honest. There wasn't a lot of good times with my dad. There was a lot of bad times. And I don't really want to go into too much of a detail. But honestly, I wasn't going to literally come back to streaming until literally August. But because I was going to do the Mafia games. Because I did pre-order Mafia, the Old Country. So I was going to do 1, 2, 3, and Mafia, the Old Country in August, early August. That was the original plan. But after hearing all this, I had to. It was mixed, but there still are dads. Yeah. And I agree. And just like how Hulk Hogan and Ozzy were pretty much dads, we looked at them as our fathers as well. I hate to say it, but it's true. There were our fathers of a certain art and style. Hulk Hogan was definitely the father of wrestling. There's no doubt in my mind that he wasn't the father of wrestling. He taught us to take your prayers, eat your vitamins, you know, be cool, stay in school, kids, you know, brother, you know, like all that stuff. He was definitely the father. And Ozzy was the father of heavy metal. You know, and there's no doubt in my mind that I can literally say that he wasn't. For what he did, what he contributed for years and years and years and years and years. You know. And it's just mind-blowing to literally think, boom, gone. But yeah. But if anyone has any comments or anything that they want to share some stories or moments, go do so right now. But yeah, this was a tribute to Ozzy in a way, video. My moments, my things. Like I said, the last time I seen Ozzy was back in probably about 10 years ago. I can't remember exact year. I know it was here in Winnipeg when he did the Black Sabbath tour here. I wish I could play clips of it. I wish I could, but I know that's going to get copyright claimed or striked in a way if I was to play a clip of that. But, man. But I do remember, like, just hanging out with both Ozzy and even just meeting Hulk Hogan. Literally even seeing him wrestle. Literally watching Hulk Hogan wrestle. You know, I think he wrestled Sid Vicious that night. And I remember literally watching him wrestle, and I just literally said, wow. Just wow. You know? Of course, we didn't have great seats. It was kind of like in the middle, but You know, back in the olden days, seats in a nosebleed section is what most people could afford back in the day. Only the rich people could get front row seats all the time. But yeah. Um, but yeah, if anyone has any moments or anything that they want to comment on, go do so right now. And yeah. Besides that, yeah, I'm probably gonna wrap it up in the next like 2 minutes or something. But yeah. but but I always think that technically there's one person I always feel that technically is gonna die soon. And honestly, I'm actually shocked he's still alive. And that's Paul McCartney, in a way. I don't know. It just seems like, if I was to literally suggest that he's, like, gonna die, you know. And it's not because I don't like the Beatles and everything else. It's just that technically, like, he's up there as well. I think he's like 81, 82. Hey, Mock and JYT. We're just doing a tribute to Ozzy and Hulk Hogan. So, yeah. Um, I'm okay. It hasn't been great these past couple of days, knowing with the loss of both legends. As I literally did talk before, like, Ozzy was kind of like my uncle, in a way. I did share some moments and everything else. I know. And that's the whole point. Like, if you want to share some moments or your favorite songs or anything, you go do so. As I said before, this is a tribute, in a way. If you don't have anything to comment, I'll just end it here. Because, yeah, I can't remember every moment I shared with Ozzy. I wish I could. But frick, I'm going back 33 plus years that I've known him, and it's just like, damn, you know. And yeah, I haven't talked to him, I haven't literally seen him in over 10 years, but damn, you know. And then also Hulk Hogan today, you know. Wrestling world cannot not be any more like down right now. You lost the greatest legend to ever create the damn sport. The guy that made that more money for in the wrestling business than for every other wrestler and people that literally are future wrestlers than that they could ever imagine. You know. But yeah. Also, I would say probably Hulk Hogan's last best match, in my opinion, has to be against Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 19. WrestleMania 19 should have been WrestleMania 20, in my opinion. Like, if they would have done that Madison Square Garden, think about it. Hulk Hogan, Vince McMahon, Madison Square Garden, in that freaking street fight. I think technically it would have been even more legendary. But they did do it at WrestleMania 19. It was still a good match, but I think that technically pushing it just one extra year would have been like, wow, you know. And I wasn't alive to see Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. I did see the tape of it. I do have it, actually, of Andre. I have all the WrestleManias from 1 to 15 on VHS, in a way. So, and I do have some WrestleManias on DVD as well. But when you watch the Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon match, and you go back and you really sit there and watch it, you get to see, how great these two guys really were in the wrestling business, And you can love them or hate them all you want, but you gotta pay respect for both guys. That's the way how I see it, And that's the one thing that I see today that literally makes me kind of sick. And I gotta bring this up because at the end of the day, yeah, I know that technically people are hating on Hulk Hogan right now, and some people even hate on Ozzy Osborne. And the one thing that technically this generation has to learn is respect. Don't bring up technically he was a racist piece of shit or technically he was this and that. Just keep your opinions to yourself. As your parents used to say, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what my parents always used to teach me. That's what my mom taught me, And, like, I understand that technically he is, like Hulk Hogan, did do some racist remarks and that he lied and everything else. But you also have to learn and respect the fact that what he did for the wrestling business. And honestly, you should be grateful. If you're a wrestling fan, you should be damn grateful what he did for you. You know? And same thing with Ozzy. I know some people might literally shit talk Ozzy in a way. And honestly, I would like to see people more. Just more. Just be more respectful. You know? I'm not saying you have to literally hate everything. But if you literally have a negative comment and the person's dead, just leave it. Just leave it. Let it go, for frick's sakes. The guy's dead. Why do you need to kick him when he's down? Is what I always used to hear. Why kick a dog when he's down? Just let him be. You know? And with that being said, I'm probably going to end it here, guys. But I needed to literally say that before, technically, some people might say, I know for a fact that, like, people are commenting on Hulk Hogan's death and literally calling him that. Because I have friends in the wrestling business, just to give you a little heads up, that have literally mentioned it. That's why I bring it up. But yeah, I want to thank Mock and JYT, Lazy Satan, and anyone else that comment, liked, and subscribed, and all that good stuff. But yeah, guys, this is my last video. I hope so until August. I think 5th. I think it's August 5th. I'm back with Mafia 1. And then we're doing 2, 3, and then Old Country on August 8th. Until then, see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.